This is Breakfast Daily right here on Citi TV. It's time for the news review segment, and we do want to hear from you. So make sure that you send us your messages via the WhatsApp line 020-444-7033. That's 020-444-7033. And of course, if you're texting us from beyond the shores of Ghana, wherever in the world you are, do prefix that number with the country code +233. We're also using the hashtag Breakfast Daily across all social media platforms. So say what you want to say, tweet what you want to tweet, post what you want to post. We will see it and we will read it right here on the show. Now it's time to get into the headlines with my guests this morning. Before I introduce them, I will just let you know what we will be discussing in the news, the big stories. We're still looking at the aftermath and what's happening in the interim with the Akosombo Dam spillage, which has affected 3 regions of Ghana, the eastern region, most precariously the Volta region, and of course the Greater Accra region, parts of this region as well. We're looking at about 30,000 people having been displaced, about 3 million people across the several communities and districts that have been affected. They're going through several different situations, and different groups have been calling for different actions. Health professionals are telling us that we're staring a cholera and typhoid epidemic in our faces as a result of this situation. The spillage, we're now spilling through 8 gates out of the 12 that the Akosombo Dam is made up of. We were spilling through 4 initially. So it's a very dire situation, and that is why Citi FM and Citi TV has kickstarted this relief campaign. And if you do have things that you want to donate, look, we're looking at canned food, bagged food, things that are not perishable that we can easily get to the locations and distribute to the people who need it the most. We need water because the water bodies have been compromised. Bottled water, sachet water, water that has been treated essentially. We need mattresses, blankets, especially for some of the people who have been affected are being camped at sort of safe havens, right? So they need blankets, they need mattresses so that they can sleep properly to some extent, they can keep warm. We need medical supplies. That's a big one. A lot of the medical facilities in these areas that have been affected have been submerged by the water, and for that reason, we need to take care of these people. So, do stay tuned to Citi TV, Citi FM. Go to our website, citinewsroom.com. See how you can donate. Send in money if you can. Your widow's mite. Bring the items to the front desk of Citi FM behind that Abraka police station if you can as well. There's here at Citi TV, Tesano, if that's closer to you. All right. And if you have any questions, you can call 0205-973-973 or 0558-973-973. And again, if you'd like to make the phone call from a place outside of Ghana, prefix that number with a country code +233. Okay, we also have in the news the fact that 2 stalwarts when it comes to the Christian face of Ghana, Reverend Eastwood Anaba and Archbishop Duncan Williams, have resigned from the board of the National Cathedral. It's been in the news for the past couple of years now, and that's a big story that's making the way. We'll be discussing that. We'll also be discussing attacks on the media. We had last week UTV being attacked by what we now know are some members of the MPP party, and yesterday we spoke about the fact that 16 of them had been fined 2,400 Ghana cedis each. And there have been conversations around that. We also had our very own Akosia Otri, who works here with the Citi News Desk at Citi TV, Citi FM, being attacked when she went to cover some proceedings at the NDC regional headquarters last Friday. And since then, the NDC has come. Delegates were here yesterday, right here at Citi TV, Citi FM, to apologize to her, to speak to management. And so there's a lot happening, and we'll be talking about some of these things. At this point, let me introduce my desk. It's an all-ladies affair today, and we have Aisha Hassan. She's the NDC communication team member. Good morning, Aisha.
Good morning.
And we also have Grace Akosia Enima. She is the government spokesperson on infrastructure. Good morning.
Good morning,
Enima. How are you doing, ladies?
We are very fine.
Yeah, you brought some light, to this. I mean, no offense to the men, but It's always great to have some ladies in the studio as well. So these stories, and I'll have us start with the one that's fast becoming a national emergency, the Akosombo Dam spillage. You know, there have been a lot of developments. I'll read a few stories. Yesterday, Honorable Ablakwa was, you know, in Parliament stating that we should be declaring this a state of emergency by now. I'll just read a bit of that story from citinewsroom.com. The Member of Parliament, that's the MP for North Tong, Samuel Kujoto Ablakwa, has reiterated calls for the government to declare a state of emergency to draw the necessary attention to residents affected by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. Over 26,000 people have been displaced by the spillage of the dam, which commenced last month. Various institutions have called on the government to attach urgency to the situation. Providing an update on the flooding situation in the North Tong constituency, Ablakwa, whose constituency is one of the most affected areas, bemoaned the government's posture towards the current situation. He said in an interview on Eyewitness News on Citi FM on Tuesday, that's yesterday evening, that declaring a state of emergency was critical because it will then make resources available. Everybody is going to sit up because so far as it's been a very lethargic approach by leadership, very lackadaisical. You don't get the sense that there's real mobilization. So that declaration is going to jolt people out of slumber and everybody is going to get to work. Mr. Ablakwa explained that we need an all-hands-on-deck approach, and so far NADMO appears to be struggling. This requires urgency, and we're getting frustrated. The legislator also noted that he has picked up information that other countries are willing to step in to support Ghana only if the president declares a state of emergency in the affected areas. And since, Aisha, this is your side of the divide, okay, I'll start with you. What's your take on this, the situation in general? Is there any information that you have from your end for us? And then do you agree with Honorable Ablakwa's calls?
Okay, good morning once again. The name is Lamioko, right?
Apioko.
Apioko.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so good morning once again to our cherished viewers. Apioko, you see, I'm very sad this morning because ever since the news broke up, I've followed what's going on in the regions affected. And I will say it's rather unfortunate that we have to get here because this is not a natural disaster. This is a man-made disaster. And in any serious country, we don't have to wait to this extent to be reactive. We need to be proactive in the way we do things, especially at a time that the country is financially broke. We need to be very proactive in the way we do things so it would not incur more financial losses to the state. But here we are. We knew there would be a spillage from the Akosombo Dam. Yes, there are always spillages annually. The people are usually given heads up so that they can put their home in order before the spillage. Were they told it's the normal spillage that comes annually, or they were told this kind of spillage is going to be a different spillage? What kind of research went into the volume of water that has been accumulated in the dam and how it's being allowed to spill out going to affect the people? Did they do all this feasibility study to understand the rate of, harm it's going to cause the people? I don't think so. Nothing of this sort happened. They were just giving heads up that, look, there's going to be a spillage, just like the normal spillages that happens every year.
Okay, just to step in very briefly, Asha. So, I mean, when on Monday, we did learn from the VRA and from NADMO, other relevant stakeholders, that there was a simulation of the spillage in May. And so we knew what was going to happen. The question, though, is how far the news traveled to get to the people in the communities, because when our reporters went there, indeed, many of them said, oh, we knew, but the next day, after we had heard, the spillage happened, or 2 days later, the spillage happened.
Okay, so if indeed there was a simulation exercise and they were able to know the intensity of the harm the spillage was going to cause the people, what measures did they put in place? Did they provide them tents or other things that they would move them to in case of any emergency? They didn't. There was no such contingency plan for them. You get it? There was no such plan for them. So this thing happened and they've all been displaced. They've been displaced just because nothing really went into getting the people out of the place before the spillage. I don't think they knew the intensity of the spillage, because if they had known, they would have probably moved the people from where they were to a higher grounds. However, they just gave them the heads up, told them that we're going to do spillage, blah, blah, blah. And the people just took it as the annual spillages that happens yearly. You get it? They took it as the annual spillages. Unfortunately, it turned out that this is more than the spillages they've been expecting every year. And I'm sad. I'm sad because livelihoods have been lost. They are now prone to being infected with all sort of waterborne diseases, cholera, typhoid. It's rather unfortunate we have to get here, because if indeed they had done some simulation exercise and had assessed all the negative effect it was going to bring, they wouldn't sit down and watch to incur extra cost in taking care of the people now. Now, your outfit, like a private entity, is now going out seeking for donations to help support the people. If we had known, I'm not sure we would have gotten here. The VRA didn't even know the intensity of the spillage. They didn't know how it was going to affect the people. That's why we are where we are. And if we are in a country and we have to be always reactive and not proactive in how we do things, trust me, we won't get anywhere. Look, yesterday I was watching a live Facebook coverage from a friend's page who had gone to visit there. And look, we were being told that in the video that the very first day the thing happened, the day after, people were on top of their roofs, begging for water to drink. Do you know what that means? They were begging for water because they had tried to, get to a safer place, and they found themselves on top of the roof. What if the water had got into the roof? I'm sure many people would have died. If the water had gotten up to the roof level, many people would have died. And there are some houses that were built lower than others, and those houses, I'm sure, had sunk and submerged in the water. Why should we get here? Why? It's rather unfortunate. And what even baffles me more is the fact that our president went there, and at this critical moment, at a moment that the people are devastated, people are in kind of shock about this whole thing, and the president deemed it appropriate at that time to go and talk about how they don't even vote for him. That to me was reckless. It was unnecessary and uncalled for. It was highly unnecessary. That wasn't the appropriate time to go and remind them that they don't vote for you. Even though they don't vote for you, they pay taxes. And it is your responsibility, as you have stated, as a president, to make sure that you share the national cake equally, irrespective. In the public choice theory, they say that it's not everybody in a country that would vote for you to make you a president. However, it's the collective effort of the various individuals that makes you the president. So you don't expect every individual to vote for you. In any case, out of the 70,000 votes the NPP garnered in the voter region, out of the 70,000 votes, the NPP had 100,000 10,000 votes, or no, is it 700,000 votes? Maybe we had 100,000 votes. That's a lot. That's a lot. And 100,000 people, it's no joke. For you to just go there and say, had it been just about votes, I wouldn't be here. That was unnecessary. It was highly unnecessary. And I'm again baffled that it took the public backlash for the president to go. Before the president would leave to the USA, this flooding thing had already occurred. The houses had started submerging and people had started crying out for help before the president left. There was no word from him, no word from his vice. Yes, if the president had even traveled or already had plans in place to travel, what was the vice president doing? He could have gone there. He could have tried to salvage the situation even before the president came. But we didn't even see his shadow. Till date, we've not even heard anything from the vice president. Even though he was present in the absence of the president to take charge of whatever situation there was to take over. Unfortunately, we've not heard anything from him. But this is a president who, during the Sierra Leone mudslide and flooding disaster, had to go there, traveled from Ghana to Sierra Leone to donate $1 million worth of items to the people of Sierra Leone. And you are in your own country. People that pay taxes to you, and you have refused to even make a mention of the whole issue. It's rather unfortunate. So, but for the public backlash, nobody would have even bothered to find out what was happening. Look, their lives are in danger. Waterborne disease, it kills. Cholera kills. Typhoid kills. So why? I'm sad. I'm sad the fact that mortuaries have been washed away, dead bodies have been washed away, toilets have exploded, contaminated their water bodies. I'm sad. And look, the people, those who can swim, are swimming in the water. Some are walking through the water into their various places. It's sad. Look, I saw the video and I was so sad. I asked myself, had this happened in Chebi, would Akufo-Addo given it the same lackadaisical approach it is giving it? And the president went there empty-handed. Even when he went to the people to remind them of how they don't even vote for him, he went there empty-handed. Not that he went there with some kind of relief items. He didn't go there with any relief. He just went there empty-handed. And as we speak, private entities, churches, mosques are contributing all over to help salvage the situation. How did we get here? How did we get here?
Okay, so just before I bring Grace in, let me point out that, yes, there was a simulation in May, and shelters were put up, and we have now, I think, about 12,000 people being camped in those shelters. So there's some level of preparation, but as to whether, you know, the VRA really anticipated the
There were
magnitude,
shelters in place prior to the spillage?
Yes, there were. And so there are a lot of people who were moved there. When the Ghana Navy went in, they saved, as of 2 days ago, they had done a little over 8,000 people, and they moved them to those shelters. The shelters are definitely not enough, though. And so, I mean, it is evident that we didn't anticipate the magnitude of this.
So that should clearly tell you that we are being reactive. We are being reactive. We didn't even do enough feasibility study to understand the intensity of the spillage and the harm it was going to cause the people. We knew there was going to be a spillage, but enough research didn't go into the effect it was going to bring to the people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here.
The other thing is that it's been raining, and the last time the spillage happened in 2010, we didn't have this level of rainfall. And so there are a lot more dry grounds to soak up the water, and it definitely even wasn't on this scale.
Exactly.
So
so you see, that's why I was telling you, enough research didn't go into it. Because if enough research had gone into it, the meteorologists would have been involved in this. Is it likely to rain? Yes, we are in a rainy season. So yes, it's likely to rain. What will be the volume of the rain? If we spill out the water from the dam and the rain falls, what will be the intensity? What will be the depth? How is it going to affect the people? At what level are they going to be affected? Then you know the kind of shelters to provide for them, where to provide for them, and the number of people that would need that kind of shelter. But no, the feasibility study that went into this whole thing was just not enough. It was, and you see, when it happens like that, then people start to think that, yes, because we are from the Volta region and Akufo-Addo is not our favorite candidate, that's why we are being treated the way we are being treated. You remember the Keta tidal waves, how it happened. You know, till date, the president has done nothing about it, despite the calls to even build the sea defense, continue from where His Excellency John Dramani Mahama left off. Nobody has spoken about it till today. And it's likely to recur. And we'll find ourselves in the same situation. So when it happens like that, the people are justified to say that because we are from a region that do not vote for the current president or government, that's why we are being treated the way we treated. We are being treated. You remember the Aflao chief?
Let me come back to you. Let me bring Grace in, because she hasn't spoken at all.
So Aisha is taking all the time.
Please, over to you. I won't even belabor the point. Aisha has responded to so many things. We know the issue at hand. You know, what do you have to say?
Apioko, good morning to you and then your viewers, your cherished viewers. I've been watching you, your food shows.
Thank you. The lady should come and cook with me one of these days.
I'll be very glad. I'll be very, very honored.
Will we do NPP versus NDC?
Yes.
Oh,
of course. I can beat Aisha, beat my Anyway, thank you for having me.
Thank you
but
for coming.
Before I go into the spillage, Akosombo Dam spillage, I would like to touch briefly on a model that is going to be launched today at the Youth Employment Agency.
Okay.
And that is a Youth in Agric model. Under the Ministry of Agric, it's a collaboration of the Ministry of Agriculture and then Youth Employment Agency.
Okay.
And it has to do with a 10-acre land allocation to 2 groups of youth. So let's say yourself, myself, we go for a 10-acre land for farming. And some inputs for farming, everything that you need in your quest to farm will be provided by the government or the aggregator. So after 5 years, the land becomes yours. That is the 2 of you, the 2 groups that went for the land. Okay. It's a 10-acre land, and after 5 years, it becomes yours. Whatever you want to use it to cultivate, that is up to you. So there are monthly stipends that are also going to be provided by the Youth Employment Agency. So after land has been allocated to you for farming, you are also being paid stipends at the end of the month. And farm inputs and everything is also being provided for you. And after 5 years, the land becomes yours, like I said earlier on. So when you cultivate your whatever plantation, whatever you planted, 20% of it goes to the government as a form of payment for the inputs that it provided you for free. Okay. Yeah. And storage facilities have also been made available for the crops that is going to be cultivated that are perishable. So let's say tomatoes, pepper, and all of that. Storage facilities are being provided to help store them so that it doesn't go stale or it doesn't rotten to be a cost to the farmer. And you know, extension officers have been trained across the country. You know, we had a lot of them at home who had gone through school and hadn't been deployed or taken to their various distance to work. So this government has been able to put all of them at various places to put their expertise at work or whatever they've gone to train themselves for into good use. And they are also going to be very practical in this Youth in Agric model. And it will be launched today, so I'm sure, as I've touched briefly on it, somebody who is within the youth, the brackets, under the brackets of the youth, would want to go into it. And there's a portal that is being opened. So if you want to register and then go for a land for farming, the website is www.yea.gov.gh. So anybody that falls within the brackets can just go ahead and then register and then take it from there. I think it's a good initiative.
But I'll send you an invoice.
Okay.
For this, you know, promo.
Oh, no problem. That's fine. That's fine.
No, but it sounds like a great initiative.
Yeah, it is.
I hope that
our government is for the youth, and we are doing so much for the youth. So when I have the opportunity, I just want to talk about whatever that goes into along with help the youth. About the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, Apioko, it's very sad. I become very, very affected myself when I see people displaced because of some of these should I call natural disasters or whatever. But you know, when it comes to dam spillage, this thing is quite beyond the control of even those who work at the Akosombo Dam, because when the dam, there's a level where the water has to reach, and approximately that is 276. It should reach 276 feet. So anything that beyond cubic feet, thank you. Anything that goes beyond 276 cubic feet is going to cause a spillover. And the spillover has to happen because the integrity of the dam is not supposed to be compromised. When there is enough or there's continuous inflow of water into the dam and then it reaches that 276, I don't think there's any way the dam operators or whoever, those who work at the VRA, can stop the water from toppling over or can stop the water from continuously flowing into the dam. So a spillover is a necessary evil. When it reaches the 276 and then it crosses even to 0.1, it has to spill over. And that is what we are seeing. Previously, or over the past weeks, even as of last week, there was inflow into the reservoir, and then it hadn't reached or it hadn't toppled over the 276 cubic feet. So we didn't hear of any spilling over or anything of that sort. As soon as it crossed, there was a spillover. And the dam needs to be protected. People's lives are very important. Their livelihoods are very important. But then the dam is a major supplier of electricity. And it needs to be protected. It needs to be functional. So anything that will compromise its integrity has to be, has to be taken care of. It's unfortunate it has to go the way it went. When we go down the memory lane or we go down into the annals of history, we will realize that even in 1966, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, except 73, 74, then through to 91, and then 2010, there were spillages. And then I asked myself that if we try to, or the opposition party or anybody tries to politicize as an issue, in 2010, NPP wasn't in power. What did they do when there was a spillage in 2010? We didn't blame it on government because we know it's quite natural that there are spillages sometimes. It's unfortunate that people's livelihoods are displaced. I'm very happy no life is lost. And I'm sure the people who reside in those areas are also very much aware of these spillages. And from time to time, they may put measures in place to ensure that when there's a spillage, they will be on the safer distance. Aisha made mention of the fact that they were even on the rooftops and they were, it means they were quite aware of something of this nature happening. And I believe the response from government has been quite swift because as at last week, Thursday, 12 October, like I said earlier, there were inflows into the reservoir. We didn't know it would go to this extent of spilling all over the place.
Because the spillage started on the 15th of September.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And, a month later, we're dealing with this magnitude. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So I learned about 26,000 people are displaced now. And it's unfortunate. And the government has been quite swift because a 13-member interministerial committee has been set up and it's been led by the chief of staff to try to look into the issue to see how best we can help bring it under control. The most important thing now is for them to be able to, for the people who have been displaced to be able to continue their lives and then live their lives, get food to eat, get medical supplies, get shelter and all of that. And government has been swift in that. That is exactly what we are doing. Government, NADMO, VRA have put their best foot forward and they are putting every measure in place to ensure that the people do not go hungry, they get water to drink, and they get medical supplies. And this time it's not about who has been insured or not. Everybody is getting a medical supply. Everybody is being taken care of. And it's very good on the part of government. And, I didn't know Aisha would go into the thing about President Akufo-Addo and then the remarks that he made when he went to the Mepe district. Okay,
Aisha, I'll let you come to that. I just want us to go for a quick break.
Okay.
You're still watching Breakfast Daily. This is the news review segment. I have here with me Aisha Al-Hassan, NDC communication team member, and the lady on the floor at the moment, Grace Akosia Amina. She's the government spokesperson on infrastructure. Welcome back. This is still Breakfast Daily right here on Citi TV. And we're here on the news review segment. We've been talking so far about the Akosombo Dam spillage and matters there arising. I have here with me Aisha Al-Hassan. She's an NDC communication team member. And I also have Grace Akosia Enima. She's the government spokesperson on infrastructure. Now, Grace had the floor before we went on a break, but I just want to read a couple of messages that have been coming in. This one here says, it's so sad the images that we've been seeing on the television screen. I don't have money, but if I did, I would go and do everything I can for the people. Nonetheless, I will contribute my widow's mite to the relief efforts. Well done, Citi FM and Citi TV. Another message here says, so what at all have we been doing since 2010? Did we not know that a time would come when we may have to spill the dam again? This reactionary behavior of us as Ghanaians and of our leaders is beginning to cost us, and one day we will all die because of it. So those are some messages. And if you also want to share your ideas and your concerns, 020-444-7033, 020-444-7033 is the magic line. It's a WhatsApp number, and if you're texting us from outside Ghana, use the country code +233. You can also use the hashtag Breakfast Daily, and we will hear you, we will see you. So, Grace, you had the floor before we went on the break.
Yes, I wanted to touch on something. Aisha made a remark about what the president's remarks when he got to this thing, when he got to Mipe. He said he chose Mipe because that is the area that has been affected the most. Yeah. But before I go into it, Ministry of Roads and Highways has donated 5 million Ghana cedis to help reconstruct the roads of all the affected areas. Yeah. So I think that is also very fast, this thing, very swift as well.
Over 5 million Ghana cedis.
Yes. And then I want to commend Assemblies of God Ghana for also contributing something, their widow's mite, to the plight of the people in the area. They've also given 20,000 Ghana cedis to help provide food and other relief items to the people. So, Apioko, on what Aisha said, I want to quote the president and then explain what he meant by what he said a bit. Okay. He said, I want to assure you that the government is going to do everything in its power to assist and to make sure that things are all right. I think everybody here, and I hope you take the message all across, North Tungu, South Tungu, Central Tungu, that when these things happen and government acts, politics does not come into the matter at all. Politics does not come into the matter at all. And then he also went ahead to say, when I took the oath of office as president, I took the oath of office as president for every single individual in Ghana. Of all the people in Ghana, all districts, whether they voted for me or not, once I have taken the oath of office, I am president for all the people. So he went ahead to tell them, so Togbe, you and your elders, I want you to understand that when something like this happens and the government acts, it is acting for Ghanaians. I came here because Ghanaians are having difficulties and suffering, and it is my responsibility to try and help. If it is the question of counting who votes for me and who doesn't vote for me, I shouldn't be here because you don't vote for me, but that is not my concern. I came here this afternoon to express my sympathies, to commiserate with all the people in the Mipe area. I chose Mipe area because it's the most affected area. So, Apioko, the whole thing speaks for itself. Why do we try to politicize some of these things?
But Grace, do you think that truthfully that was the time to even mention who votes for who at all?
Whether or not it was necessary to even mention who votes or who doesn't vote at all, I also think we don't have to politicize everything that happens. There's an issue of water spillage in some parts of Ghana, the Volta region, parts of Greater Accra, and then the Eastern region. And then the president has been quick enough to go and then commiserate with the people who have been affected. On his way going, or all of us gathered here, all we are thinking about is how these people can receive the help that they need immediately, so that we don't lose lives or we don't contract more problems through waterborne diseases and all of that. And then you get up and then you make comments like, you start talking as if, the president is not even for Voltarians. He was not quick enough to come and then respond to the issue. And then he was this, he was that. I feel it's not necessary. Sometimes when you push people to the wall, they make certain comments that later you may think they shouldn't have said what they said. But then he's trying to say that we try to politicize everything in this country. At this point in time, we don't need to politicize anything. It is Ghanaians who have been affected. Volta region is also part of Ghana. Even if it's just one vote we get from the Volta region, I don't think the president would, ideally on his own, on a normal day, would make comments about how many votes we get from the Volta region. But if you push him to the wall and then you try, I'm not trying to defend the president, but I'm trying to say that we don't have to politicize issues in the country. You have former MPs and former ministers talking about the fact that the president was not swift enough. Is it because it's the Volta region? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? I asked myself, was all these comments necessary in the first place? They weren't necessary.
I mean, to be fair to the president, he was out of town. He got in on Sunday night.
Yes.
And he made it to the space via chopper on Monday.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
But I think what a lot of people, and I myself was taken aback, to be honest, that in such a sensitive space and situation, you would even think to mention votes at all. And he made a very beautiful statement that this is not the time to politicize anything.
And at the end
of the statement, you go and say this.
I think he was pushed.
To be honest, even I was disappointed.
Well, Apioko, this one there.
And this is without a political lens.
Well, yes, but then I feel they shouldn't have also politicized the whole thing. I'm not being defensive, but then we could also, there are so many ways of killing a cat. At least at this point in time, we are commiserating with our brothers and sisters in the area who have been affected by this spillage. And that is what we should look at. That is what we should think about. Not because it's Volta region, because it's part of Eastern region, you took time to come here, and then when it happened in Sierra Leone, you were quick to go. It's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. But I also feel, yes, you have a point, some way, somehow.
So
the timing.
Don't mind him.
Oh, no, Aisha, but you also like politicizing things too much.
No, but you know, the statement in itself is politics. The
No,
the president made in itself is politics.
He said something before he came down to say what he said.
No, but it's politics. For
That
you
is why I
to
went
even
through-
bring in
that is why I
about
took
the
my time
issue
to
of
quote him.
they don't. If it had been about vote, you wouldn't be there. It's politics. It's politics. That's why we also had to, hammer on it because it's politics. And action, they say, speaks louder than words. In the past, you have refused to attend to them on the Kita tidal waves. Till date, you've done nothing about the Kita tidal waves.
The Kita tidal waves, I know some monies were allocated. I'll get the updates
No,
and then give it to you.
it took His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to donate mattresses, foodstuffs to them.
And anyway,
You've
the
not
Kita
even-
defense was built by former President Kufuor, not former President
It started and John Mahama continued. Yes, the Jita Anyanui
yes.
Sea defense.
Yes.
It was built by John Dramani Mahama, and we expected that it would be continued. But till date, nothing has been done. Look, go into the budget allocations throughout the period the MPP has assumed power and check. No allocation, nothing has been given to the Keta Sea defense. And you see, there was a whole budget reading that eliminated the Volta region totally. About this Kita tidal waves, then how the president even responded to the Aflao chief's plea for the president to complete the community day school. You do this and you expect people to think you are for them. You give people the leeway to think whatever they want to think. So you, the president, have acted in a way that has made the people believe that you are not for them. Action, they say, speak louder than words. It's not about the words. It's not about the words you put out there.
All these relief
but the
items that have
actions
been
being
provided,
backed
if it
by
wasn't
the
for them,
words.
will he provide all these relief items?
If your actions are not being backed by your words, you don't expect people to take your word for
Okay,
it.
so Aisha, you feel that you want to see more, or you wanted
I want to see more. In fact,
from the president?
I don't believe in this interministerial committee. Like Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa has said, there should be a state of emergency. It even took the Ghana Medical Association to come and say that, hey, this is also a health, yes, this is also a health issue, and the health minister should have been part of this interministerial committee. You see, I think a state of emergency should be called. Swiftly, we should start seeing how best we can help these people out of this desperate situation. It's rather unfortunate.
Do you have any information on that? Are we on our way to declaring a state of emergency?
Not yet. I don't have any such information. At least not for now.
All right.
But
you've spoken about what the roads ministry has done.
Yes.
Are there any other interventions that since Monday, since the interministerial committee was formed and sent to the space that you can speak
for now,
to?
No, for now it's just the relief items, the medical supplies, and then the monies that the money that is allocated by the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Okay.
Yeah, for now.
Do we know about any extra shelters that are being put up to supplement what the
Subsequently,
VRA
there's
and
going to be some more shelters and all of that put up to help cater for those who have been displaced because of the issue. Yeah, so if anything comes up, we are there, we'll provide information.
Okay.